Sean Diddy Combs, once one of the most powerful figures in entertainment, now finds himself in a reality far removed from the glitz and glamour that defined his career. Reports from multiple sources claim that he is furious with his legal team following a sentencing that left him behind bars for several years instead of the expected time served. Insiders say he spent over $20 million on legal representation, and yet the result was a 50-month prison sentence and 5 years of probation. A punishment that has reportedly left him in shock. The former mogul, known for his lavish lifestyle and confidence, is now said to be battling anxiety, frustration, and deep concern over his financial future. Observers familiar with the case explain that Diddy's anger stems from the belief that his attorneys promised him he would walk free. Confident in that expectation, he allegedly booked speaking engagements and planned public appearances only days after his sentencing. Hearing those plans have now been cancelled, and his business ventures have come to a standstill as investors, partners, and sponsors distance themselves from the controversy surrounding his name. Behind the image of luxury and power, Diddy's financial picture has reportedly become fragile. His liquid assets, once thought to exceed hundreds of millions of dollars, have dwindled to an estimated $50 million, a figure that continues to decline as legal costs, mortgages, and business expenses pile up. Both of his primary residences, one in Los Angeles and another on Star Island, are heavily mortgaged, and maintaining them requires millions each year. His private jet has been placed for rental to offset expenses, and the termination of his lucrative liquor partnership with Diageo, along with reduced activity at Revolt, have left him without his traditional revenue streams. Sources claim that at the time of his bail hearing, records revealed that most of his wealth is tied up in property investments and trademarks, leaving him with limited cash flow. While he may still possess significant assets, those assets require money to sustain them, and with each passing month the cost of upkeep grows heavier. It is reported that nearly half of his remaining liquid funds have already been consumed by legal fees, and that he is facing more than 70 ongoing civil lawsuits, further threatening his stability. These cases, combined with his criminal defense, could leave him nearly bankrupt by the time his sentence concludes. Legal experts explain that mounting an appeal could cost an additional $5 to $8 million and take up to 2 years to be heard by the courts. Given the time it takes for appeals to proceed, Diddy may already have served most of his sentence before a decision is reached, leaving many to question whether such an expense is worthwhile. At this stage, insiders describe Diddy as deeply frustrated not only by his situation, but by the rapid collapse of his once vast network of influence. Friends, associates, and business allies who once sought his attention have reportedly gone silent, and those he considered powerful supporters have publicly distanced themselves from his case. Within this isolation, sources say Diddy is struggling to adjust to confinement, where his once commanding presence now meets a daily routine stripped of luxury. Reports suggest that he spends long hours reflecting, reading, and writing as he comes to terms with the events that led to his downfall. His team has shared that he hopes to use his time productively, perhaps by mentoring younger inmates and sharing his experiences with them in an effort to present himself as rehabilitated and reflective. However, observers note that such gestures may also serve a strategic purpose as he seeks to restore his image for future opportunities. Following release, the financial consequences remain severe. Analysts estimate that if his current spending rate continues, he could emerge from prison with less than $10 million in liquid funds, forcing him to sell properties, vehicles, and potentially trademark rights to remain solvent. While his real estate portfolio retains value, each sale could draw public attention to his financial decline, a contrast to the image of unstoppable success he once projected. Insiders also highlight the emotional toll of separation from his children and family during this period. Sources close to his circle describe moments of visible distress and regret, acknowledging that Diddy's confidence has been replaced by a quiet unease and a constant worry about his legacy and future prospects. The 5 years of probation that follow his release will bring further scrutiny, restricting his ability to travel internationally or engage in large-scale business ventures. Without approval, this effectively limits his comeback potential during those years, particularly in industries that rely heavily on global promotion, such as music, fashion, and entertainment. Law enforcement experts note that any violation of probation terms, no matter how small, could result in immediate reincarceration, which adds further pressure to his situation. This uncertainty has left his advisors in a difficult position as they try to maintain his estate, his brand, and his public narrative without crossing legal boundaries or drawing unwanted attention. Reports indicate that several of his key staff members have been released as cost-cutting measures, and that certain ongoing projects under his companies have been quietly shelved until his legal matters stabilize. Industry watchers believe this marks one of the most significant falls from grace in modern celebrity history. A man once regarded as a symbol of success, ambition, and resilience now finds himself struggling to maintain both freedom and fortune. His story is being closely followed not just for its sensational elements, but as a cautionary tale of fame, excess, and consequence, while supporters hope for his redemption. Others argue that his current situation is the result of long ignored patterns of behavior and decisions that caught up with him over time within the confines of his facility. Diddy reportedly maintains a disciplined schedule, choosing to avoid conflict and focus on self-preservation. He has been described by insiders as quiet, respectful, and withdrawn, often spending time reading or writing about business and spirituality. Those who have seen him recently note that he appears older and more subdued, no longer the charismatic figure once seen commanding stages and boardrooms. For now, his attention remains fixed on survival and preparation for what comes after his release. Legal analysts predict that upon his return, he will face intense financial audits, continued civil actions, and the challenge of rebuilding public trust. While his talent and legacy in music remain undeniable, his reputation as a business leader and cultural icon may never fully recover. Still, those close to him insist that he has not given up and continues to express faith that he can one day rebuild what was lost. Whether that faith is grounded in reality or simply in hope remains to be seen. For now, the world watches as Sean Diddy Combs lives through the most difficult chapter of his life. A man who once defined success, now facing its price alone inside the federal system, awaiting a chance to rise again. Reports about Sean Diddy Combs' last known appearances before his incarceration paint a complex picture of a man visibly weighed down by the gravity of his situation. Witnesses say that in the days leading up to his sentencing, he appeared noticeably tense, distant, and unusually quiet, a stark contrast to the confident and charismatic persona he displayed throughout most of his career. Those who interacted with him described a sense of disbelief, as though he had not fully accepted that his power and influence might not be enough to protect him. This emotional shift was captured most clearly during his final public outings, where fans and media noted his reserved demeanor and slower movements. The once energetic mogul, who used to stride through crowds with cameras flashing around him, now seemed cautious and introspective. His last official sighting came outside a private legal consultation in Los Angeles. Sources claim that he arrived alone, without his usual entourage, wearing plain clothing and avoiding eye contact with photographers. Gone were the designer suits and jewelry that had long symbolized his success. He reportedly spoke briefly to one journalist, simply saying he trusted the process and would prove his innocence in time, but those words lacked the bold conviction he was once known for. Shortly after that appearance, he retreated from public view, focusing entirely on strategy meetings with his legal team. As the sentencing approached, insiders reveal that the atmosphere inside his inner circle became strained. Meetings that once ended in laughter and celebration turned quiet, filled with worry and uncertainty. Members of his staff were instructed to pause all new projects indefinitely, and some were told to prepare for a long period of inactivity. Even close friends who had been loyal for decades struggled to reach him during those final days. Reports indicate that his phone activity declined drastically, and he limited communication to only a handful of trusted advisors. One of the last verified images of Diddy before his incarceration showed him leaving his Los Angeles mansion at night, looking somber as he entered a black SUV with tinted windows. That image quickly circulated across social media, sparking speculation about his mental state and future intentions. Some fans expressed sympathy, saying he looked like a man carrying the weight of his choices, while others viewed the moment as symbolic of the end of an era. Within hours of his sentencing announcement, his social media accounts went silent, and the once non-stop stream of updates from his team came to an abrupt halt. It was as if the digital echo of his empire had vanished overnight. Reports suggest that his final night before surrendering to authorities was spent with family and a few close confidants at his Los Angeles residence. Sources close to the scene describe a heavy emotional atmosphere, with moments of reflection and regret, mixed with quiet conversations about legacy and resilience. He reportedly told those present that he would not break and that he would come back stronger. But even in that statement, there was a tone of fatigue, as though he knew the road ahead would test him more than anything he had ever faced in his life. Observers have noted that this period marked a complete transformation for him, from a man of power, influence, and excess to one confronting his vulnerabilities directly without a team to shield him from reality. After entering custody, reports indicate that Diddy kept an extremely low profile, avoiding unnecessary interactions and maintaining a routine centered around discipline, reading, and reflection. Those who have seen him since describe him as thinner, more subdued, and visibly aged. His once commanding confidence has given way to a quiet endurance, a kind of acceptance that mirrors the humbling experience many high-profile inmates face when fame and fortune can no longer offer protection. According to insiders, he has expressed deep remorse over certain choices. Though he stops short of admitting guilt, his focus now reportedly centers on personal growth and understanding what led him to this point. Those closest to him say that in private moments he speaks about redemption and rebuilding, but also about the fear of being forgotten by an industry that moves quickly and rarely forgives. The story of Diddy's last days of freedom and his early experiences behind bars serves as a striking reminder that success can be both empowering and isolating. His journey from the heights of luxury to confinement represents not just the fall of a celebrity, but the unraveling of a public image carefully built over decades and now dismantled in a matter of months. As time passes, the world continues to speculate on what might come next, whether Diddy will truly rise again or fade